material into the atmosphere. Workers need to keep adding water to the pool to keep the fuel submerged so that radiation cannot escape. Well, let's speak more about this now to Justin Dargin, a specialist in nuclear energy at the Dubai Initiative. Justin, thank you very much for speaking to us. First off, how worrying is it when you hear that the spent fuel rods in reactor number 4 are completely dried up and there's a great deal of confusion as to what's happening in the other reactors? How alarming is the situation right now?
Well, I think it's quite alarming on several levels. I think on one hand, when we do have a lot of information that's coming out that the reactors are nearly exposed, that indicates that there's potential for a full meltdown. And when you add that to the ongoing fires, then what can happen is that the radioactive material will be lifted into the sky and perhaps a cloud can be formed, which would thereby spread the radioactive material over a larger area. So this is quite alarming, actually. And then in terms of the other reactors, is that the lack of information allows perhaps a lot of misinformation to be spread and perhaps generate a type of environment where rumors are believed and passed along.
So do you think
that it can cause...
Yeah, do you think that the situation is far worse than the experts are admitting?
Well, the thing is, we simply don't know. That's one of the issues. We don't know exactly what is happening, so that this aspect of uncertainty makes people far more worried than if they actually knew what the situation was. Many people suspect that the Japanese government is not trying to unduly alarm the populace so it can effectuate an orderly evacuation and so on. So I think it's the element of uncertainty. If people knew exactly what was happening and also neighboring countries, then I think the reaction would not be necessarily as strong as it is now because they'd be able to take proactive steps. So I think the issue is uncertainty and not whether the situation is actually worse or better. I think that's the main problem. So the government perhaps needs to be a bit more forthcoming with the information it has. But we do realize at the same time that they aren't trying to alarm the populace and cause a panic.
Right.
But I will say that this is a testament to the Japanese people that there hasn't been widespread civil disorder or looting or what have you, which could happen in many other areas that have experienced far less.
Now, they have used, Justin, several methods, including using helicopters to douse water onto the reactors to try and cool the temperatures there, but that doesn't seem to have worked. What else can they do at this stage, and what's the worst case scenario that we're looking at?
Well, what they can do, and I think that what they're attempting to undertake right now is using high-pressured water cannons, and that is more or less another step because the radiation levels, oftentimes they will peak or that they will spike, and it puts the helicopter pilots in danger because they are right over the reactors. So they're attempting to use these high-pressured water cannons. But as I completely think that this is not necessarily going to solve the situation. This is only a short-term solution whereby I think the government needs to start thinking in a more long-term basis as to how they can effectively stop the spread of radiation and get the situation under control because it's very reactive.
Okay, thank you very much for your insight. Justin Dargin, nuclear energy expert, joining us there live from Dubai. And of course, do stay with Al Jazeera for continuing coverage of the disaster in Jazeera.